This is a person that I love. This is a person that I trust. This is the person that every time I would cry over my stalker, every time I would say, God, like, I'm just so tired. I'm so exhausted. I'm so tired of this person. Why won't they leave me alone? And to find out that it's him the whole time. We get to the airport, I get out the car, and I said, I know it's you. I know it's you that's been stalking me the whole time. You and your best friend. I know it's you. And he just sat there dumbfounded, just silent.
Yeah, got you, bitch.
Hi ladies, welcome back to my channel. If you're new to this channel, my name is Miss Kafue. So ladies, in this video, we'll be hearing the craziest stalker stories you've ever had. Have you ever had a stalker? Do you have a scary stalker story? If you have a scary stalker story, please comment down in the comment section below. I'd love to hear your story. So anyway, ladies, let me stop rambling too much. Let's jump right into this video and then I'll be back to give my take on this one. But ladies, before we jump into this video, I just wanted to tell you, whatever you do, don't fail to watch the whole of this video. The last two stories are very, very interesting. Ladies, don't fail to watch the last two stories, whatever you do. Anyway, ladies, let's jump right in.
My first encounter with this man was about a month ago. Me and my husband and my son, we walked to McDonald's like we usually do. We get there and me and my son, we sit down at a table and my husband leaves to go order our food. A man approaches us and he starts up a conversation. He says, "Oh, I've seen you eating at the Ronald McDonald House." And then all of a sudden his demeanor kind of switched and he started asking, "Where's the man?" And I was confused and he just kept repeating himself, "Where's the man?" So I said, "My husband," and he just said, "Where's the man?" The man started slowly backing up. Yes, like backing up. It wasn't until the next day that I saw him in the window. And that's when I realized that this man does not stay here. And it kind of clicked to me that I'm not sure how long he had been watching me before that run-in at McDonald's, because he said he had seen me eating and he'd watched me enough to recognize me. And I'm pretty sure I was followed to McDonald's as well. Since then, I have seen him lurking around whenever I walk to and from the hospital visiting my daughter. He hasn't tried to speak to me since until yesterday, last night, when he put his face up to the window again and motioned for me to come outside. Two detectives came to talk to me about 2 days ago. They had been looking for this man and checking social media to see if they could maybe determine his whereabouts, and that's when they came across my video. They identified that the man in my video is the same man that they are currently investigating.
We're gonna find you here one day.
Alright, can you please leave me alone now?
You're really nice.
The first sign that I was being stalked is when he sent to a Facebook account that I had never shared with him detailed fantasies about me. I don't want to talk to you.
You want an email?
No.
I was just gonna be in Dallas for a little bit. I was gonna go back to Austin.
No.
He's really nice. Like, I saw him.
Thanks so much.
Like, looking at me through the window. He's really nice.
Alright, can you please leave me alone now? That is only the first sign that I was being stalked. That is not the first time I realized that I was being stalked. It took him popping up in the darkness in my apartment complex's laundromat at 1 a.m. He was hiding behind a washing machine, so I couldn't see him when I walked in, particularly because he turned off the lights. And when I turned on the lights, he stood up and there he was. And I think I was there for like 30 minutes talking to him, trying to placate him, and eventually offering to give him my email so we could keep in contact, because my instincts told me he was not going away until he got what he wanted. That was the first time I took it seriously.
Oh my god, do y'all remember a couple months ago there was this girl who went viral on TikTok basically for crying about how she hates her 9-to-5 job and about how you can't really live off of a 9-to-5 job in America anymore? Well, I just saw her on my For You page again, and this girl was telling a story about how she got an online stalker from that one viral TikTok. He found out where she lived, what her full name was, what her phone number was, what her parents' phone number was. He started contacting her friends. He started contacting her friends' parents. He started started sending her pictures of dismembered women, asking her if she wants to meet up with him. She's literally talking about this on her TikTok because she's like, I don't know what to do anymore. It's gone on for months and the police aren't doing anything. I am terrified for her. I'm terrified for her because this is exactly what happens right before a woman ends up dismembered. God forbid. I'm not trying to speak that into existence. May God keep her safe and happy and protected and keep all evil and harm away from her. But y'all, that is so insane how a viral video can make your life transpire into a literal horror story if you're not careful enough. He found out where she worked too, and he would call her every single time she blocked him. He would call her from another number. He said that he was going to drop a BOMB off to her house. That's not even all of it. I can't even summarize it because it was literally horrific. She said that after she made that initial TikTok video, a bunch of women DM'd her saying that they were going through the same thing. And y'all, I want to tell you right now, it is not normal if you have an online stalker and the police are not doing anything about it. You gotta get the FBI involved. You gotta get somebody of a higher ranking or a higher power involved. And then also, if you work from home, great, but if you don't work from home, start getting a friend to pick you up and drop you off at work, or call an Uber every time and share your locations with your friends, okay? Please share your locations with your friends because this world is crazy and it's full of men who will literally stop at nothing to ruin your life. Please stay safe. And again, I really hope this situation is resolved quickly for this girl because that is just literally insane.
I had a married man with 4 kids stalk me for almost a year. Hopefully me telling this story will help every woman know that they should just always be aware of their surroundings. I work in TV. My first job out of college was in Nebraska. I moved to Nebraska to cover college and high school sports for $9 an hour. The TV business is really hard to break into. I need to get experience. I was working at a very small station. It's not abnormal in small towns for viewers to feel very connected to their local news people. So it wasn't weird to receive emails from viewers. One day I opened my email. There is a message from a viewer saying he loves my delivery of sports every night. Rule was you just said thank you and moved along with your day. That's exactly what I did. For the next 3 nights, he was messaging me every day telling me what he liked in the sportscast. One night, I see I have an email from him. I think it's the usual thing, but I open it and there are 4 nude pictures of him inside. And a very descriptive, explicit email explaining what he wanted to do to me. And these photos were like him in his shower. Like this. It's just weird. I take the email to my news director and he was basically like, there's not a whole lot we can do. Just block the sender via email. So I block him. Next thing I know, a day later, he adds me on Snapchat. I don't know how he found me, but he did. Sending me more photos, more inappropriate messages on Snapchat. So I block him on there too. But his full name was attached to his Snapchat. So I put my little Nancy Drew hat on and I am Googling everything I need to know about this man. I find out he's a chancellor at a college in Nebraska, married with 4 kids. This man's working with young women every single day. I thought about sending everything to his college, but I was only 22 and this was my first job out of school and I didn't want to cause this big fuss in the industry. I felt very silenced, like there was nothing I could do. For the next few weeks, things progressively got worse. He started adding me and all my family members on all social media, sending me messages saying his wife was having an affair with an old high school student of hers and she's giving him a hall pass and he wanted it to be with me. When it got worse, he started figuring out what I had to cover for work and he showed up to state track and was yelling my name across the field. And then he started showing up at the bars that I would frequent with my friends. Work was not helping me out at all with this. They really didn't care. And my parents wanted me to file a restraining order, but honestly, I was too nervous because I didn't want to be the girl in my industry that was causing problems. I was always scared he was going to show up to my apartment. Thankfully, by the grace of God, I got out of that job and I moved back home with my parents. He was let go a month later for allegations with a female student. Girls, just always make sure you're being careful out there and make sure you check your surroundings.
1 in 3 women will be stalked throughout their lifetime, and stalkers are super unpredictable. So we want to make sure that you're educated so you can feel more safe with these kinds of situations. The first thing to remember with stalkers is that they tend to escalate when you react. For instance, if you were, say, to block them on social media, they might escalate by then going to your house or trying to follow you or something like that. The key here is to try to think a step ahead and prepare for that next escalation if you were to do something like blocking them. Along those lines, the next thing to remember is that you want to actually stop all contact with this person. Whether it's positive or negative contact, a lot of times they see that as reinforcement. For instance, you might have to avoid going certain places in order to not have to come into contact with that person. It's not fair that you would even have to do this. And 1 in 7 women actually end up relocating because of stalking. You always want to make sure that you are documenting every single thing that's happening with your stalker. Gifts they're sending you, letters, text messages, reaching out on social media, screenshot things, keep all the proof you can. The last thing you want to remember when it comes to stalking is to always make sure that you have your precise location turned off anywhere on any app that you are publicly sharing your location. This setting allows somebody to see exactly where you were when you posted. So whether this is a story or even something on your feed, if they click that link, even if it says something like in the clouds, they can see exactly where you were.
I have a stalker, and this update is probably the scariest one yet. Something really freaking scary happened last night. I was sound asleep, and at 3:28, my TV just turns on, and it doesn't just turn on to like the title screen or anything. It goes to that random video, like ferrets from the same people who made Charlie the Unicorn. And I thought it was like an alarm, so I was like, Alexa, turn the alarm off, and she didn't. And I was like, Alexa, turn the podcast off, and she didn't. And I realized that it was coming from downstairs. I go downstairs because it's really loud, and I take the remote and I turn it off, and I go upstairs and I don't think anything of it. Then I remembered about that randomly at work, and I was like, that's really weird. And so I thought to check my cameras, and my free trial expired, so none of my cameras were visually picking up anything, but they did detect the motion. And at exactly 3:28, well, first of all, I think it was 3:13 before this happens, like 15 minutes before, it detected a motion where the cars are, and the car windows you can like see to the living room. And then at 3:28, right as I got up and turned the TV off, there was more motion in the cars. So I'm thinking maybe it was my stalker just trying to see if I was home or if I was awake or something. I don't know for sure, but do any of you guys know if you can turn on an LG TV without a remote? Like if you could do it on your iPhone, or if you could buy like the same remote and be able to turn it on like that? Because I'm not sure what it was, but yeah. And I'm gonna provide receipts. Okay, so as you can see over here, where I circled, at 3:13 a.m. there was movement in my cars. Sorry, I blacked out my address over there, and then 3:28 inside front where I turned off the TV, there was more movement, and then once again at 3:28. So I think someone turned on my TV, was watching from my cars, and then left when they saw I was awake, but I'm not sure. I need you guys to help me and to help me figure it out. So yeah, if you have any information on how LG TV works, that would be great.
Here's something I've learned from working with stalkers. A lot of stalking is based on erotomanic delusions. The person is believing that they have a relationship with you, or they are in love with you, and they truly believe it's happening. The victim is the most safe when the stalker starts to be infatuated by somebody else. The delusion gets put onto someone else. Think of that TV show, You. It's actually very true.
I'm going to tell you about one of the major rules that you need to follow if you're ever dealing with a stalker. How I really screwed that up in the beginning because I just didn't know. How the Supreme Court ruling last week with the Counterman case makes that rule really impossible. So when you're dealing with a stalker or someone who is harassing you or cyberbullying you or anything like that, the general rule is any kind of contact, any kind of communication is received as positive reinforcement. Like, it's a good thing. It's that whole, so you're saying there's a chance. So you don't want to give them any kind of contact, which is why the Supreme Court ruling that the perpetrator needs to have some sort of understanding of the harm that they're causing is so problematic, because it is imperative that a victim not communicate that degree of vulnerability to the person that is harming them. It tends to not lead to a sense of empathy and, oh, now that I realize the harm that I'm causing you, I'm going to stop. So the man who stalked me began sending messages through Facebook Messenger. And what I didn't know at the time is that every time I was reading, he was getting a read receipt. In my mind, as a therapist who works with trauma, I am monitoring the trajectory of his escalation. Like, I'm paying attention to what he's saying, tone, the intensity, all of that. But he's getting a read receipt. So I am, without intending to at all, giving tons of positive reinforcement to him because I'm reading his messages and he's getting those read receipts. The day I found out, this is a stack of evidence that I have, he sent me a message that said, "The fact that you're reading this means that you are in love with me. I hope you realize this is obvious to me, LOL. I have 100 reasons why it must be so. I know you know way more about me than you let on. I like to detect clues. That's why I ask God if they are real or imagined to check the response." It's a modest attempt at something we might call science. We might not call it science. I'm pretty sure my stomach turned inside out when I realized that I was giving him positive reinforcement for his messages, that he was getting read receipts when I thought I was stealthily reading the messages. The only exception I will say that there is to the don't communicate is at some point you do want to say, do not contact me ever again, or you will encounter legal consequences. So I did have that in there, but then I also had the read receipts.
Hey, this is my story time on how I had a person stalking me for 8.5 years. The very first time that I was aware anything happened was actually when I came home from school one day. I was in middle school, and I discovered a note in my backpack, and my backpack had been in my locker, and the note was a very creepy message basically saying, "I've been watching you." Nothing else beyond that, and it took a little while for my school to actually figure out who it was, but my school, I guess the administration took out a restraining order against this person. So this person had a restraining order to keep away from the school and from me and my home. And whatever the restraining order was for, the distance, whether it was 100 feet, I honestly can't remember exactly, but he did stick to that. And he stuck to exactly that for many, many years. So I would often see him exactly outside the limit of where he was supposed to be. And he would not be doing anything other than watching me and staring at me and just showing up in all kinds of places that he didn't belong. There was a decent amount of time that I did not see him from, I think it was the beginning of my senior year of high school until towards the end of my freshman year of college. And I went to college about 2.5 hours away from my high school. And one day he just showed up not too close, but not too far away from my apartment. I thought that part of my life had been over. For what it's worth, this had been reported to the police many times throughout the time that I was in high school, and there was literally nothing that could be done because he was within his guidelines of distance, and he wasn't doing anything other than watching and staring and being in places that he had no business being in. He disappeared for a while after that, and I started to finally kind of forget about him and put that behind me. And one day, when I was in my 20s, he actually showed up again, another city, another time. And I haven't seen him since then, and it definitely crosses my mind every now and again that he could very much still be around. I honestly have no idea. It sucks.
Story time about how I was stalked by what I honestly believe was a serial killer. In 2020, this guy moved into my apartment complex down the hall from me. My first encounter with this guy was in the hallways on his move-in day. He looked at me, and the first thing he ever said to me was, "Are you scared of me?" I thought that seemed a little strange, but then I realized that he was moving in to my guy best friend's apartment. So I texted my guy best friend and I was like, "Yo, your new roommate seems a little bit weird. Be careful." The following days, I keep finding this man everywhere I'm going. He was in the elevator with me. We got out of the elevator at the same time. I doubled back to make sure no one was following me. And he, at the exact same time, peeked out from behind the wall he was hiding behind. We made eye contact. And he laughed this evil demonic laugh, and he found out which apartment was mine. I was like, oh my gosh, like what should I do? I did call the police, but the police wouldn't take me seriously. I go over to my guy best friend's apartment, and obviously the stalker and him are sharing the same apartment unit. While I'm hanging out with him and a bunch of other guy friends, the stalker dude starts pacing back and forth through the apartment with an axe on his shoulder and a helmet. Just pacing, not saying a word to anyone, just pacing back and forth with an axe. He then proceeds to block the door like this. This guy's 19 years old and he's ripped on steroids. This guy couldn't even walk normal because of his muscle mass, and he's standing blocking the door so that no one could come in and no one could come out of the apartment unit. The guy eventually leaves the apartment, but he comes back, and when he comes back, he's extremely pissed off, goes into his room and is throwing things around. He comes out, and the dog who was living in the apartment starts growling. This dog loved people, but it could sense a very demonic energy. I look up at the stalker dude to see why the dog is growling. This guy had the most demonic glow to his eyes I have ever seen. I cannot describe it. All I knew is that I saw evil and darkness, and in that moment, I was terrified. All of my guy friends were actually playing video games, so they weren't really paying attention to what was going on. Once I got their attention, I told them that it's not safe here, we have to go. And they didn't know what I was talking about, but I told them I was leaving, and I got up and I left. Some of my guy friends followed me though. When I got out of that apartment, I bawled my eyes out, and they were like, "Cece, what happened? Like, why are you upset? Like, we were just hanging, like, I don't understand." So I told them exactly what I saw. So my guy friends that stayed back tried to talk to him and see why he was angry, and this is what the stalker boy said. He told them that he had a god complex and he had come to the earth to purify the unclean. I ran out of time, but part 2 is already posted.
I wish that I was more aware of how choosing a partner can be a life or death decision. I don't want to go too extreme to saying life or death, but it's definitely between safe and dangerous. I think that as women, we actually don't think about it that way, but when you look at statistics, we as women are more likely to be killed by our romantic partner than anyone else, including a stranger. And if we think about how we walk out into the world, and you know how I jump in the car at night and I make sure I lock my door, and you know if I walk around with a pocket knife or something like that because I'm scared of a stranger, the truth is we should have that same energy when it comes to choosing our partner. This is a person that I love. This is a person that I trust. This is the person that every time I would cry over my stalker, every time I would say, God, like I'm just so tired. I'm so exhausted. I'm so tired of this person. Why won't they leave me alone? And to find out that it's him the whole time. We get to the airport, I get out the car, and I said, I know it's you. I know it's you that's been stalking me the whole time. You and your best friend. I know it's you. And he just sat there dumbfounded, just silent.
Yeah, got you, bitch.
We're in the Uber and he proceeds to assault me in the Uber. He's jumping on me. He's grabbing my, he is completely just violating me in the back of this Uber. We pulled up to the Airbnb where we were staying, and he continues to assault me, grab on me, grope me, all these things on the way up to the elevator. So I'm like, oh yeah, I'm done with this guy. So I walk into the Airbnb and I just start packing my things. He then grabs me, throws me over his shoulder, and drags me into the bedroom. As he's dragging me, it was so bad. I pull my phone out of my pocket and I call my sister and I put it on speaker. And I'm screaming and yelling, and I'm thinking he's really about to rape me. When he heard the phone ringing, he dropped me and then ran into the bathroom. So I run downstairs, I get security. They come upstairs and they stand in the Airbnb as I pack up my things and I go to a hotel. And then I fly from Dubai to Chicago that next day. I get back to Chicago. He comes back from Dubai on the flight we were supposed to get on, which was like 2 days after. He's showing up at my door. He's trying to buzz to get into the apartment. Like, I'm just in fear of my life. He's calling me 5, 6, 7 times a day, texting me over and over again. And he proceeds to stalk me for probably the next 3 or 4 months until I meet my boyfriend. We're gonna call him Marcus. We date for a very short amount of time, before I decide let's move in together. Now I want to move in with him, one, because I was stupid, but also because I was afraid of the previous Dubai guy. I'm terrified. He just continues to call. So I moved from Chicago to Virginia to live with Marcus. And I noticed that he has a really, really, really bad temper, like very, very, very violent temper, punching walls, throwing things, really bad. There was a few times where he physically assaulted me as well. But in my head, I'm still concerned about this stalker.
You don't want to go back to Chicago.
I don't want to live by myself, period.
And have you told Marcus at this point about Dubai guy?
Yes. From the beginning, he knows that I have a very, very, very persistent stalker. He's always reassuring me, I'll protect you, I'll take care of you, but while also being abusive, right? I went through his phone while he was sleeping. What was in this phone is so insane, I can't express. So he had been messaging a lot of prostitutes. Let's start there.
Oh, really?
He also had a Plenty of Fish account.
Oh!
That's not even the worst of it, right? So I'm already disgusted. But then I get to this app, which was a very interesting app. The app is called Text Me Now. I open the app, and it's all these messages that are being sent to two numbers. My number and my sister's number. And it's all these FUB, you slut, you whore, you this, you that. And then I type in my name in the search in his regular messages. And it is a conversation between him and his best friend. And he's telling his best friend, call Deshauna right now. Say this to Deshauna right now. We're in Target, aisle 7. Tell her you know where you're at right now. Both tormenting me for at least a year. So this entire time, I think that it's Dubai guy.
Right.
I still to this day don't know when it stopped being Dubai guy and when it became the person I was dating. I still to this day don't know when it stopped being him and started being Marcus.
When it stopped being your stalker and started being your boyfriend.
Exactly.
That's insane.
I fought back against the stalker who tried to kill me, and now he's serving a life sentence. I didn't know that I had a stalker at the time, so I went to bed. It was just a normal night. I locked all the windows and the doors, got into bed with my dog, and fell asleep at maybe about 10 p.m. Up, I think around 2:45 because my dog Cookie was barking. I didn't take it very seriously at all. I got Cookie to stop barking and went right back to sleep. Woke up again at 3 a.m. Because Cookie was barking and I could tell this time that it was something serious. So I got up, I sat up in bed, looked at my phone, and it was 3:04 a.m. And I looked up from my phone at the bedroom doorway, and there was a silhouette of a figure standing in my bedroom doorway. He kind of peeked his head into the doorway, and he was lit from the back, so I couldn't see any features on his face. I saw him kind of peek in and then peek right back out. I immediately started telling myself, this isn't real. You imagined it. You know, like my heart was beating, my thoughts were racing. I was scared, but I had just gotten into a fight with my boyfriend that night, and my brain just convinced me that this was either nothing, like I had imagined it, or that it was my ex trying to scare me. So I got up out of bed and left my phone. I had a hunting knife in like my underwear drawer that a friend from Wisconsin, which is where I'm from originally, had given to me. I left that and walked out into the hallway, and no one was there. I walked into the living room where I thought my boyfriend would be. He wasn't there. Into the dining room. It was a little darker in there. No one was there. And then into the kitchen. And that's where I saw him. He was standing with his back up against the wall, and he was tall. And I saw right away that he had a knife in his hand. So I started to run. I didn't turn around. I scanned him up and down, and then started to run backwards. I ran backwards through the dining room, through the living room, smashed myself up against the living room windows. He chased after me. He quickly caught up to me. He held the knife to my throat and told me to shut the fuck up or I'm going to kill you. You see, I have a knife. Shut the fuck up. I'm going to kill you. And I did. I shut up. And from there, he started asking me questions. He asked me first, do you have a boyfriend? And like I said, I had just gotten into a fight with my then ex-boyfriend. This is also part of the story. And I lied and said that I had a boyfriend who would be back any minute, like we all would. And he did not seem very fazed by that, which made me nervous and scared. And then he said, where's the fucking money? And I took him into guest bedroom where I had $31 in a nightstand and passed it back to him. He was holding me with like his bicep and held the knife right here, and then held me with his left hand by like I had like a messy bun in my hair. After I handed him the money, my heart sank because he said, now what else do you have for me? And then I knew why he was really there. So after he said, what else do you have for me? He took me into my bedroom, but he told me to stand up against the wall. And he, started feeling me up. I started to cry. I was begging, saying, I just kept saying over and over, you don't have to do this. Please don't do this. I'm a nice person. You don't have to do this. And all I felt still at this point was terror, fear. Who is this man? What does he want? I'd never seen him before. And, am I gonna survive this? So then, fuck. It actually left a little mark on my face. Dang it. So then he told me to go lay on my bed. After I laid on the bed, damn it. I let it sit too long. He told me to stretch out my arms and legs, and I did. And he was still then, feeling me up. And for me, I was staring at the wall. He wanted me to look away from him. The knife was always at my throat. But I was looking at the wall, and I started to see, my life flash before my eyes, but it wasn't my past, it was my future. My brain was sending me these images of me having a daughter. I don't have any children. Dancing at her wedding. My brain also showed me pretty horrific things, images that I've only seen in horror movies of what someone in a room with no consequences might do to me. And that, which was a pretty potent combination. The last thing my brain brought up for me was a scene from the TV show Dexter. I was not a super fan of the show Dexter. I liked it. In this scene, it's he's surely not going to make it. He says, a wolf in a trap will chew off its own leg to survive. Its survival instinct is that strong. And I don't remember bookmarking this scene in my mind. It wasn't something that I watched again and again. It was something that my mind must have just put in the back in case we needed it at some point, and we did, which I took as, you need to find any way that you can to survive this. My feeling was pretty strong, and I don't know if that's just intuition or fear, but my feeling was that he was not there with the intention to let me go. At the moment, there was no part of me that thought this, especially with the way that he was, that this man has a lot of mercy for me. Like I said, I was bawling, I was crying, and that only got him more excited. So I'm trying to go fast, but I'm trying to do this without the AC so you guys can hear. So I make up my mind to sacrifice my arms. In my mind, I was like, if I just start, doing this, and he slashes at me with the knife, maybe I lose my arms, but I'll walk away with my heart. And in my mind at the time, that was like walk away with my heart beating so that I'll survive. But I think there's obviously like deeper meaning, deeper levels to that. So he told me to turn on my side, and as I did, and he was like climbing up on the bed behind me, he pulled the knife away from my throat for a second. It was the first time that the knife had been away from my throat since he'd caught me on the couch. In that second, I chose to scream, and I screamed, "Somebody fucking help me!" Like as loud as I could. I lived in an apartment complex, so, like hopefully someone can hear me. In my mind, I was screaming loud enough for my family, my dad, my brothers to hear me all the way back in Wisconsin. He then jumps on top of me, straddles me. We start fighting like this. And he, I remember just like a flurry of hands. He's on top of me. And then I remember feeling like bop, bop right here in my head. And it felt like he was hitting me with the butt of the knife. And I wondered why he would hit me with the dull end. But then after that, I saw a white light, and it was like white light, white light, white light. And I realized he's punching you. No matter how many times he punches you, you can't fall asleep. If you fall asleep, you die. And I remember thinking, at least he doesn't punch very hard. And then he stopped, and I was able to get my legs up underneath him and push him off the bed. And immediately I sat up like I hadn't felt myself get stabbed. I hadn't felt any pain at all, but just kind of instinctively, my body told me to hold up my left hand. And I held up my left hand and saw that my ring finger and my pinky finger had been partially severed. So then, I thought I had lip gloss in here. Yes, I do. Then everything changed. When I saw that my fingers had been almost severed, I went from feeling utter terror to complete rage. Every cell in my body was swollen and pulsating red with rage. Like I've never felt before. And I looked down at him on the floor and screamed at him, "You cut my fucking fingers off? You cut my fingers off? I'm gonna you." So when I said I'm gonna you, I meant it in every sense of the word. All I felt was a desire to kill this man. So I jumped down onto the floor. He was like still sitting on the floor looking at his hands, and I started to punch him, kick him. Like my left hand was hurt badly, but I was punching with my right. I was kicking him with my bare feet, attacking him, screaming, "Get the fuck out of my house. I'm gonna you get the fuck out of my house." And he stood back up, pushed me back down onto the floor, and was slashing at me again. I put up my arms, and we fought a little bit more on the floor. Then all of a sudden I saw that he stood up and he started running, and I thought, okay, now I guess we're running. I ran after him. I went out to the hallway, and there was a lamp that I pulled out of the wall. He ran to the front door, and he started messing with the locks. I was hitting him over the back with the lamp, screaming, "Get the f- out of my house, I'm gonna kill you, get the f- out of my house, I'm gonna kill you." He reached back and he knocked the lamp out of my hand. I grabbed another lamp, pulled that out of the wall, was hitting him with that on the back, reached back, hit that out of my hands, but then he got the door open, the deadbolt opened the door, and ran out. I didn't find out that night. I didn't find out even a day after, a month after, that he had been stalking me for as long as he had. That came later. There are also a couple of other things, elements to the story, especially that happened in the afterward, that were surprises, things that I think many women can relate to. But like I said, I want to share this story if it's interesting to you guys, if it's something, like that makes you feel empowered. I really want to only, share things if it's helpful and not hurtful. I just think that, like, for me, I felt so lost after the attack. I felt like I couldn't find a depiction of my story in the media, in movies. I want to share this story, like I said, because there was no way that I thought that I would have been someone that fought back. No way. Like, I had no training. I had never been to a self-defense class. Now I box. I had never been to a boxing class. I had experiences in my past where I hadn't stood up for, I was like in a relationship with, like in a toxic relationship where I wasn't standing up for myself every day, and I'd had instances of SA like this that I hadn't stood up for myself. So it wasn't like I was like born to fight. It required me to find strength that I didn't know I had, like pull this fighter out of me that I didn't know that I would ever need or that I could even ever find.
Hey ladies, have you been shocked like me? The story that has shocked me from this video, is this last one. Especially when she says that she saw a silhouette in the room. Can you imagine waking up and then realizing someone is in your house or in your room? I think I'd pass away. Oh my God. Oh my God. As a person who gets really scared, and me, when I get really terrified, I just become a statue. I cannot function. I cannot scream. Like, the voice won't come out. Like, I just become non-functional. I just get into a stance. That's how I become when I'm so terrified. Which is so bad. But that's how my body reacts. So the story of the man who peeps at them at McDonald's. Oh my God. The way I'd have caused drama, the way I'd have started screaming, look at that man. Look. Or the girl who is at the mall. I don't know whether it's a mall or what, but a public place. And then she asked this guy to leave him alone. I feel like that girl wasn't aggressive enough. If it was for me, I'd have made a scene. I'd have made sure people who are nearby know that this man is not my friend. We are not together. And I want him to leave me alone. Especially me, I don't have shame, especially when provoked. I don't care where we are. And you're stepping on my line. Oh my God. I don't have shame. I'll cause a scene. Yes, because sometimes, let me tell you, never play about your safety. Cause a scene if you have to, but never play about your safety or your sanity or your comfort. Never play about those things, or your children. Never play about those things. Those things for me will make me cause a scene, because there's no way you're disturbing me. There's no way, of all 7 billion people in this world, you've only seen me. How me? You picked the wrong one, and I'll make sure you know you picked the wrong bitch, because there's no way. And you know what's crazy is that these stalkers are unhinged. You never know what they might do. So you're there being so soft with him. Oh, please leave me alone. No wonder he showed up at her house later on, as she describes that she went to this laundry room, and then he was hiding behind the washing machine. No wonder he showed up there, because she didn't shut it down the first time. Ladies, I've realized something about these stalkers. Whenever you realize someone is stalking, you shut them down immediately and go at it the hardest way possible. Be ruthless when you're doing it, so that they know, like, oh my God, she's a threat. Like, oh, she's not. It's like, I can't do that anymore. The first time you have a chance, shut it down completely, and don't keep engaging with them. The next time they do it, take legal action against that person. Take legal action against them, because as we've been told in this video, any reinforcement, whether positive or negative, is still reinforcement to a stalker. To them, it's positive reinforcement. To them, even if you're ignoring them, they see like, she likes me, she's just ignoring me. If you respond, even if you're just whatever, insulting them or whatever, they'll just say, look at her, she's playing hard to get. I love a feisty one. I love this one. That's how they think. They are so unhinged. So ladies, please be very safe. I can't imagine the fear, especially for you guys who are in the US, the UK, Canada, like, oh my God, whereby, like, a car is a necessity. Okay, for us here, a car is not really a necessity. So, and over here, cars are seen as a big deal. Like, if you have a car, you've made it. You've made it. So right now, the mentality is changing. Things are changing. So right now, especially here in Nairobi, cars have become a necessity, to be honest, depending on the business you do. Okay, for me, a car to me is not a necessity. Let's just be honest, because I work from home, so why would a car be a necessity for me? Anyway, ladies, another story that stood out for me is the stalker who shows up despite having a restraining order against him, but he shows up just to look at this woman, but maintaining the distance, but he's just there to look at you. Oh my God, that was so creepy. That is so creepy. Ladies, have you ever had a stalker before? Or are you being stalked right now? Me personally, for me, I don't think I've ever had a physical stalker. I think maybe online stalkers here and there. Yeah, every lady has those ones. But a stalker who posed as a threat to my life, I've never really had such a stalker. But I think it's because I'm always aware of my surroundings. Plus, I don't go out as much. Plus, if I'm somewhere, I walk fast. I maintain eye contact with people who I meet. I finish my business and I go home. I don't hang around places just laughing awkwardly or just sitting somewhere idle, looking like you're so idle. Yeah, when you're going somewhere, if it is in a public place, go to where you're going to get business done. Put a serious face. Myself, when I walk, I have a very serious defensive face. You will never approach me if you are, man. But the moment I start laughing, you'll be very surprised. Those are two different people. Yeah, you gotta have that demeanor. Also, stop walking as if you're very accommodating, you're very approachable. Don't be approachable out here. Don't be approachable out here. And also, don't wear things that attract attention towards you. For example, some type of clothing. Some people also attract attention to themselves. They are walking slowly. They are doing this. They are doing too much. They are doing the most. There are people like those everywhere you go. Always be aware of your surroundings. And please stay safe, especially with your cars, ladies over there. Please lock all your doors, especially after you get into your car. Oh my God, I didn't know that it's so serious to the point that you have to pack your shopping and your grocery bags while facing the opposite side. But ladies, do you agree that the second last story is proof as to why you should never tell a man about your past traumas? Because they'll always tend to use it against you. This lady already told this man she had always been stalked. What did this man go ahead and do? Stalk her completely together with his best friend. I mean, deny her peace of mind. He was so vicious with it. Ladies, this is proof enough as to where you don't share your past with a man. Another thing this story proves to me is, please stop dating out of desperation. Stop dating because you just want a man out of your house. In your house. Please stop dating out of desperation. This lady said she was desperate. She just needed to have a man in the house. No wonder she moved in with him very fast, because she was afraid of the first man who always stalked her. And which is so crazy. I can't imagine having to lie down with a man, sleep with him, cry to him about how I'm being stalked, and he's the one who's stalking me. But also, if the man is too comfortable with you being stalked, if he doesn't take proactive action against that man, then he supports it. He enjoys seeing you in pain. I think that's what I'll say. But that was a very crazy story. Please be careful out here. Some of these men you're dating are not really your friends. Most, and I'll say most of these men you're dating are your enemies. Most of these men you're dating hate you. They hate you. Most men hate their women. And you don't need a degree in psychology to see this. Even in public settings, look at the body language, the demeanor of some of these men with their women. Look at the demeanor of some of these men. These men don't like those women. They don't like them. And these are the kind of women who will do anything just to be there with this man. These are the kind of women who center men. Because you can't tell me after all these years that woman doesn't know that something is very wrong. These are the kind of women who give us pressure out here. Oh, my husband, my husband, my husband. Their whole personality is all about their husband. Who are you? Who are you? What do you do? Who are you? I don't want to hear about your husband. Who are you as an individual? What do you like to do? Don't you have a life? Such talks are very crazy. I don't have anything against anyone who's married, but there are ladies who will just, every time, my husband, every time, like they have no personality. It's very annoying when you meet such people. Anyway, ladies, let me stop getting out of topic, but such women really annoy me. And then these are the women who are done the worst. You see these pick-mishas. Ladies, if you're a pick-misha, please stop it today. The patriarchy cannot wait until it gets its hands on your neck so that it can drag you. Right now, the men will just be, yeah, she's riding for us. Oh my God, we love such a woman. But let me tell you, the moment they are done with you, they'll drag you on the floor by your hair. Be very careful with this patriarchy thing and don't be a pick-misha. Men hate pick-mishas. They might have children with you, they might sleep with you. Yes, because you're giving them access, you're catering to their needs. I mean, you're a pick-me. But, my dear, you'll be shocked. I almost talked in Kiswahili. Anyway, ladies, I hope you enjoyed this video. Myself, I've really enjoyed all these stories. Let me know if you want another part 2 to these stalker stories or whatever, or you can even suggest what topics would you love to see on this channel. You're the ones to say, you're the bosses on this channel, my dear. You just make your demands, and if I'm in a good position to do it, I'll do the video. Anyway, ladies, have a nice day. Please stay safe. Please watch your surroundings. Please stay safe. Please stay safe. Ladies, let me tell you, do you know I pray for you guys? Like, oh my God, I pray for each one of you. Like, please be safe. I really care about you. Please be safe. I might not know you, you might not know me, but please stay safe. Stay happy, stay warm. Yeah, stay hydrated, sleep well. Yeah, and I'll see you on my next video. Bye.